let's do another movie review. One of my favorite movies of all time. I wouldn't know. I would maybe like top 5 comedies of all time is The Man with Two Brains, a 1983 movie. It's not for kids, and that's the only reason it doesn't get the full 13-star treatment. All right, but when it comes to a comedy, first of all, it came out in 83. I saw this probably in the late 80s, so I was probably like 12 or 13 years old when I first saw this movie. And when you look at the cover of it, you see Steve Martin, obviously a comedy, Brains, because back then Steve Martin only did comedies, Brains, and it's right up a 12-year-old boy's alley, 12, 13-year-old boy's alley. It's like, oh, comedy with Steve Martin and gooey stuff like Brains. And then you get blindsided by Kathleen Turner in this movie. And when you're like 12 or 13, you don't really understand, up to that point in your life, you're like, I don't really understand what girls are for. They're kind of useless. I don't understand what it's all about. And then you watch this movie. And the scene where she's in that very revealing outfit, there's so much Kathleen Turner skin. I'm hard-pressed to find a movie where she looks better. Because she looks amazing. She got this real tight thing. She's like, oh, this fits very snug on me. You're going to have to tear it off me. And he's like, yeah. And in that scene, I got it. It finally dawned on me. It's like, oh, that's what women are for. That is like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen to this point. And Kathleen Turner back in the day, and even as she got older, I mean, she still looked good. I mean, even now, it's like, I could, I don't know, I'd have phone sex with her. Talk dirty to me like you're Jessica Rabbit, And so you're kind of blindsided as a kid with this. There's a lot of sexuality in this movie. It's clearly a comedy made for adults, because there's a lot of like sex jokes and themes revolving around sex, and not to mention Kathleen Turner and her beautiful, beautiful body. And so Steve Martin plays this famous brain surgeon, Dr. Michael Huffer, which is the common spelling, obviously. Everyone knows how to spell that, right? Dr. Michael Huffer is a renowned brain surgeon, and he meets this woman, Kathleen Turner, and when you're introduced to her character, you're like, oh, what a terrible person she is. And he's like, yeah, she's terrible. But then some of the outfits you wear, and you're like, I could put up with her. I could deal with it. And so he meets her. He like almost kills her with his car. And so he has to do brain surgery to like heal her. And he meets her, falls in love, and gets married. And all in between. I'm skipping a lot of stuff because there are like tons of gags, tons of quick jokes, like jokes that are aside, and then jokes that are like in the main story. I mean, it was like not a wasted moment. I think it's a Carl Reiner film, and it was written by Steve Martin and Carl Reiner. I think. I'm not remembering correctly. But, I mean, it is just a brilliantly written comedy with gag after gag after gag. And it's funny because there's a scene where he meets Dr. Necessiter, who has all these brains. And Steve Martin just loves brains. They're all squishy and slimy. He loves it, And so he's like, oh, what do you have all these brains for? He's like, I'm doing research. And he's like, oh, don't touch them. It's like, why? They're alive. And it's like, what? How? And he's like, oh, I got this special fluid that keeps them alive for a while. And he's like, oh, okay. And so he has this conversation about this elevator killer who he kills people by injecting Windex into their butts, and that causes their brain to die last so they can put the brains in jars. So Steve Martin's having this conversation with Dr. Necessiter in his condo, right, that is made up to look like a castle. It's like not a wasted opportunity for comedy. Anywhere in this movie. And they're having this argument. It's like, you're condoning murder, doctor. No, I'm not condoning murder. I'm just saying. And then there's some lady banging on the wall. Will you keep it down in there? He's like, oh, you shut up with your TV blaring all night. I'm sorry, doctor, but you have to understand. These walls look solid, but they're as thin as tissue paper. That's typical for a condo. Just little. They're having this serious argument. And then they're like, back to the, oh, yeah, condos, right? There's tons of funny stuff like that in this movie. One of my favorite scenes is when he brings Kathleen Turner home to his house, and his gardener and his maid are sitting up there on the porch, and a bunch of flowers are around there, and she's like getting in the car, and she goes, oh my God, what are those assholes doing on the porch? And he looks over the porch and sees them standing there, but he also sees the azaleas, and he goes, those aren't assholes. It's pronounced azaleas. Chock full of hilarious moments like that. And so the idea is that Kathleen Turner is a horrible, horrible person. But Steve Martin develops a relationship with one of these brains who he can telepathically talk to, Miss Anne O'Melmahay, common spelling. And so the idea is like, I want to get her brain into a hot chick. and he eventually like gets to that point, and happy ending. I'll just say that there's a happy ending. And it's a bunch of hilarity along the way. It's classic Steve Martin, and I'm serious. It's like one of the like top 5 best comedies of all time. When you talk like best comedies of all time, this movie should be in the conversation. Tropic Thunder should be in the conversation. I'm blanking. What else? Any recommendations? Huh? Fifth Element comedy. Fifth Element's a comedy. I think it's an action comedy. I think this movie's a pure comedy. Anyway. The Man with Two Brains, it's not for kids at all. 12 of 13 stars. And that's the only reason it doesn't get the full 13 stars is because even though I was a kid when I first watched this movie and I loved it and enjoyed it ever since, it really was a little too sexual for a 13-year-old, 14-year-old. Because like one of the deleted scenes where the bellboy goes through puberty as soon as he meets Kathleen Turner, that's kind of what happened to me when I first watched this movie. It's like, oh, that's what a beautiful woman looks like. And that's why people, like men, build skyscrapers and bridges and amass fortunes and ford rivers and cross continents and raise armies and go to war because of Cleopatra or Kathleen Turner.